Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode here for the Austrian Grand Prix today. One of my favourite tracks on the calendar. It's short, it's fast, it's a lot of fun, this track. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this Grand Prix, and I've always gone well here in the past. It's where I got my first win in F1 2018. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's see the emails at the start of the weekend. We have a new goal to try to qualify in the top 6, I think that said. But looking at the weather, it's actually going to be raining in the race, so that could affect things. Obviously the AI are said to be very fast in the rain, but considering the form I've had in Austria in the past, I'm not too worried about that. But we've got some driver transfers now as well, so obviously could have been involved in that. If you know from the last episode, we couldn't beat Pierre Gasly, so we kept his drive at Red Bull. But Kevin Magnussen has been signed to Renault, replacing Hulkenberg, who has moved, he's jumped ship from Renault, and he's moved to Haas, replacing Grosjean. So Grosjean's off the grid, Magnussen's back on, and yeah, Hulkenberg has switched to Haas. So that will be interesting to see how that plays out. But anyway, looking at the R&D, this is Williams at the bottom. They have made some massive improvements, so that's interesting. But anyway, we'll see how that plays out in practice.
Practice is beginning here in Spielberg, marking the start of the Austrian Grand Prix.
We seem to be having some software issues at the moment. Sit tight for a few minutes while we reboot some things, okay?
Brilliant. So that was a very insightful intro by Crofty there. As you can see, we've moved on to practice 3. That was literally the only highlight from practice, so let's get into qualifying.
Thank you for joining us once again for today's qualifying session. Sit back, relax, and enjoy what we hope will be a fantastic contest for pole position. Now then, Anthony Davidson, you're not getting any younger, but you have been involved in your fair share of qualifying sessions in an illustrious 30-year career. How do you deal with the pressure when you have that one chance to deliver a perfect lap?
It's not so much about dealing with the pressure, it's more about how you approach the risk and just how much of it are you willing to take. You're constantly balancing the car on the edge of grip from braking, cornering and traction, and over the course of a lap it's easy to get that balance wrong, and that's why achieving the perfect lap is almost impossible. As you say, I've been doing this 30 years now and it never gets any easier.
So we move straight onto the results screen of Q1, and we see that Magnussen, Kubica, Albon, Danny Kvyat and Antonio Giovinazzi knocked out in Q1, but we got through very easily. Sergio Perez though only just scraped through in P15, so that'll be interesting to see if he can keep up the pace in the later sessions. So we move on now to our Q2 lap and get through the first corner fairly nicely there. Open the DRS up to turns 2 and 3. There's turn 2. I don't really know why they count that as a corner, but none of the other little bends in the road count. But anyway, turn 3, a little bit tricky on the exit there. Didn't use all the available road. DRS open once again towards turn 4. Over the rise through the slight left-hander, and very tricky braking into this corner I've discovered over the weekend to just get it on the marks there. I always find myself just braking a little bit early, and it gives me an awkward line through that corner. And then my favourite part of this track, the sort of second half of the lap, through those corners, the middle part of the lap I should say, and then onto these last few corners. A little bit tricky sometimes to get the apex right through these due to I guess the elevation makes the shape of the corners a bit deceiving, but anyway, we got through there pretty well, across the line, and that lap should get us through into Q3, which it does. Sergio Perez up in P9, so he's found a little bit more pace, but he's still got a way to go to catch up to my times. We actually out-qualify Verstappen, Gasly and Charles Leclerc. Hulkenberg is currently ahead of Devon Butler with the time he's set so far, and obviously Magnussen was knocked out in Q1 compared to Ricciardo in P12 this time, with George Russell, Lando Norris, Lucas Weber a long way down, and Kimi Raikkonen also knocked out in this session. Let's get into Q3. So as we head towards the first corner, we get that just about right, miss the apex a little bit, use up all the road on the exit, and open the DRS on the way up to turns 2 and 3, a little bit on the grass on the right hand side there, just trying to take the absolute shortest line, but that was a little bit too short. Probably got on the brakes a tiny bit early through this right-hander, and that might have cost a bit of time, but this is just a banker lap, more or less. I'm trying to just I'm going to have another run at it, because normally I wouldn't, to save the tyres, but it's going to be raining throughout the entire race, so there's no point in saving the tyres. I need to get as high up the grid as possible. So anyways, we go through the middle sector now. We don't have any relatives because this is our first lap, but I feel like this lap has been pretty decent so far. So as we head towards the last 2 corners, we'll find out exactly how good this lap is. Really nice line through there, maximising the track width on the inside to the maximum without actually cutting the corner. And we cross the line. We are in P5, and Verstappen goes P6 there right behind us, so he's our main rival in this race, I think.
We're 10th in the speed trap, 287.4 kilometers per hour.
And that's interesting, we're actually slowest in the speed traps with the time we set, though it could have taken that from the in-lap, but it is a little bit strange how they work out the speed traps speeds. So anyway, we go again to see if we can improve on the time we set into turn 3. Got through there really nicely that time, used all the space, didn't leave anything on the table through there. So now heading towards turn 4, and through the last sector now we've got 2 greens, so we're going to improve into the last corner now, and using as a bit of runoff on the exit there as we head towards the finish line. Where are we going to go?
Good work.
P4 on the grid for the Austrian Grand Prix. That is a really nice
With
lap.
qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top 3. Vettel, Bottas and Lewis Hamilton. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
No idea what happened to Perez. He should at least be out qualifying Devon Butler and Nico Hulkenberg, and probably Pierre Gasly as well. But anyway, we'll won't worry about him. We got the qualifying that we needed up in P4. We actually didn't go green in the last sector looking at that. But anyway, this is probably the only track I would even bother looking at sector times, because it's the only track in the whole game I can drive consistently around. And I actually really enjoy this track. But anyway, let's get into Formula 2 and see how that goes.
It's race day here at Spielberg, and the drivers are making their final preparations down on the grid before lights out. Look around, it's a spectacular setting, and I'm sure today's race will do it justice. Spielberg is a very short lap, one of the shortest we'll see in this Formula 2 championship. 7 rights and 3 lefts make up the 10 corners of the circuit. The left-hand kink of turn 2, leading into the uphill braking of turn 3, represents another overtake hotspot. Alongside me today, I'm delighted to welcome back to the commentary box the 2012 GP2 champion, Davide Valsecchi. There looks to be a challenging race ahead of the drivers today, Davide. With that in mind, what are you looking out for today?
Well, Alex, I want to see how the drivers at the back of the grid are going to run down. They'll need to make an impact in the early stages, and they're probably hoping for a bit of luck at the start. we may see some bold maneuvers out there today.
Here are the starting positions for today's race. A sterling
Moss.
effort from Roberto Merri yesterday puts him on pole position. And starting alongside in P2 is Alexander Albon. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Giotto, Norris, Antonio Fuoco, and Maini, Tete Camara, Latifi, De Vries, Maximilian Gunter, Russell, Markelov, Alessio Lorandi, and Delatraz, Fukuzumi, Aitken, Kari, and Sean Galeo. Boccolacci and Tadasuke Makino rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
You've done well to put it on pole, but we've still got work to do. Trying to cover the inside line off the start.
Alright, thanks Jeff. Question, is Arjun Maini or Miney? Anyway, we'll worry about a little bit of weather later in the race if it comes, but other than that we'll try to have a good race as we go underway, and it's a bad start, and once again I haven't even given myself the chance to say 5 red lights. But anyway, we're underway, and Giotto is down the inside. He started third and he shoves us off the road, and we still managed to rejoin the lead. Albon gets P2 back, but what on earth just happened at the first corner there? I've got absolutely no idea. As we have a look at the replay here, you can see Giotto and Norris got a flying start compared to myself and Albon, and we're actually going 4 wide into the first corner. Norris down the inside of everyone there, actually cuts the corner, and that was, yeah, that's how that happened. 4 into 1 is never going to work. Look at the start from the second row, and yeah, we're almost all even there into the first corner. So yeah, that was a very, very strange. So anyway, as we move on now at turn 3, I missed the apex a bit, got out on the curb and we've spun around, and we are going to drop to the back of the field now. That is an absolute disaster at the start of this race. We've survived one incident.
Okay, not a great start. Let's get back on track.
And then immediately caused their own cold tyres, cold brakes, all of that, and that's a mistake. But anyway, we move on. We're trying to go around the outside of Dorian Boccolacci as we almost run into the back of Kari, I think that is, and we almost get around the outside of Boccolacci. We're running side by side up the hill, heading towards turn 2, and Boccolacci gets ahead through turn 2, down the inside into turn 3, and we get that back. We have a little think about trying to make it 3 wide with the cars ahead, but after the first corner incident, I decided to pull out of that one and live to fight another day on that occasion. So the next car up ahead is Nico Kari, so we try to get a run on him, maybe into this corner. It's will be an unorthodox place to make an overtake, but we get down the inside, but we pull out of it. I wasn't convinced he was going to leave the space. Fair play to him, he did leave the space, but I didn't really feel like taking that risk this early in the race. But anyway, we get through on Kari into
Good job, nice overtake.
the last couple of corners, and we try to get a good run on the straight, try to get a run on Makino, and we might just do it into the first corner. We're having a little look to the right, going down the inside, and we get that move done on Tadasuke Makino. Next car up ahead is Sean Galeo, so let's see if we can overtake him in the coming laps into turn 3 now, and we have a long hard think about it, and we go down the inside, and we should get an overtake down on Galeo, but we get a little bit of wheel spin on the exit, and that's going to affect our run all the way along to turn 4. So Galeo is actually edging ahead again now, so we're going to have to go for a bit of a dive. I thought about slotting back in behind him, but we need to make these passes, so we go down the inside and get that move done on Galeo, finally up into what is now P16. So there's a pile of work left to do. The next car up ahead is Jack Aitken. We're going to go down the inside into turn 3 once again. Favourite passing spot, and this time we should be able to get the move done as we have a little bit of a wobble on the exit, but we get a better exit than Aitken, and that's what counts. We get the move done. Next up is Delatraz, as we have a little bump with him there. I was in a bit deep and tried to go to the inside to avoid running into him, but we gave him a little touch anyway. And we tried to go down the inside, but he defended a bit awkwardly there, and we made contact, and we both go for a bit of a slide there.
Mind that front wing. It'll need replacing if it takes too much damage.
And that was completely my fault. I went for a move, he shut the door. He's well in his right to do that, and yeah, we made contact. But yeah, that's fully my fault. But we go down the inside of the next corner. I have no idea what the grip's going to be like. There's definitely a bit of understeer there, but it's not too bad. We can bear with it, and I think if we change the front wing in the pit stop, we can sort of mitigate the issue until then. But anyway, we actually have a big lunge and sort of
Good pace. You're catching the car in front by a second per lap.
a half look there at Maximilian Günther, but we couldn't get the move done into the first corner. But anyway, heading into turn 3 now, we're going to go for another lunge. At the last minute, we switch to the right and go down the inside of Günther and make more contact there, shove him out the way and gain that position. Probably not the cleanest pass of my career. But anyway, the next car up ahead is Alessio Lorandi, our best friend in this series. We keep running into him and we're doing it again. We're going to go for a massive lunge down the inside, and this time we should make a clean overtake. But we get a big slide on the exit and another one for good measure as we open the DRS, and somehow we still get a better exit than Lorandi. I'm not sure what he's doing in that car.
We're approaching the pit window. You'll be on the softs.
He did not get a good exit as we go down the inside of Artem Markelov into the first corner this time. So we're mixing it up a bit, overtaking in a couple of different places now. But anyway, we are now ahead of Artem Markelov. The next car up ahead now is Mirei Fukuzumi. So we're going to go to the inside, into the final 2 corners, down the inside, and we get that move done through the second last corner. I assume that's the last
Nice
corner.
work. That brings you up a place.
I doubt that bit there counts as a corner, but you never know. As we now go down the inside of Nick de Vries, so we are absolutely flying through the field, even with a bit of damage. But I can honestly say the damage is not too bad. I'm not sure what the damage looks like from the outside. I didn't actually look in the end. But yeah, it's not too bad. As we go around the outside of George Russell into turn 4, but with the bit of damage we cannot pull that off. But we've got a bit of a run. Can we maybe make a move into turn 5? We have a think about it. He defends a little bit, but we go down the inside anyway, and we might just get that move done through turn 5. Go all the way out to the right, make sure he doesn't have anywhere to go, and we get that move done. Next up is Sergio Sede Camera, but we're coming into the pits on this lap, I think.
Box now, please. Box this lap.
Okay, make that this lap, and in we come. I thought there was going to be radio there, but apparently I didn't end up pressing any buttons. So we follow Sergio Sede Camera into pit lane. Hopefully there's a chance we can jump in while we're in. Actually no, there won't be, because we have to change the front wing. I'm an idiot. But anyway, into the pits we come, and let's get this new front wing on. Let's see how long this takes. It'll take a while. It's a Formula 2 pit stop. So let's see. So far we're already hit the 10-second mark. Come on guys, we don't have all day.
Exit now.
And off we go, 15.4 seconds, you'll love to see it. That's about 10 seconds slower than what it could have been if we didn't have the damage. But anyway, doesn't matter. We're underway again, and
strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
we are back behind Boccolacci. He was the first car that we overtook. But anyway, we're actually still ahead of Galeo, so I'm not sure how that works, because he was a few positions up from last place. So maybe he got held up in pit lane, I'm not sure. But anyway, doesn't matter. The point is we've lost a whole bunch of time, and we are going to need to drive the wheels off of this car to have any chance of getting that time back. So anyway, we move on to going past pit lane, see how many positions we're going to make up through all of that, and we are.
A few laps out yet, but it is coming. Be careful.
We are only up into P18 as we are catching up now to Dorian Boccolacci. We go down the inside, very fine margins there on the left to Boccolacci, but we get through up into P17. Next up is Makino. So we have a little look at Makino to the inside of turn 6. Didn't really think about making a move there, but get a really nice run, and we'll definitely get him into the last few corners here. Down the inside, and we make that move stick very easily there.
You made it look easy.
Next up, Nick de Vries. And we get a good run out of the last corner. DRS open, we should be able to make the move stick into the first corner.
Creating some breathing space between you and the car behind by a few seconds per lap.
We actually go around the outside as Jeff's trying to talk as I'm commentating. And we go around the outside of de Vries through the first corner and get that move done. And the next car up ahead is Jack Aitken. We go around the outside through there. He almost squeezed us off the road, but we got through there. But I was holding my breath for him over there. But we managed to get through. And now we can focus on Artem Markelov.
14th position. You're in 14th position. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. 23 laps to go.
We go down the inside of Markelov into turn 3 and get that done. Next up, need I say? Anyway, we go for a last minute dive on Randy into turn 4. We make a little bit of contact and go for a slide. And again, I would say that was my fault. We're going to try to make a move into the third sector down the inside. And we get it done there, run him a little bit wide and get that move done. Now the next car up ahead is Maximilian Günther once again. So now we've caught up to Maximilian Günther. Can we go for a move to the inside of turn 4? It'll be a late move, but we go down the inside and we don't quite make that work. Now we're catching up to Günther once again. Can we go for a move here? Not quite close enough, but we might be able to get a good run and make a move into the last sector. We do that and we go down the inside and get that move done. Next up, actually he's actually still holding it around the outside, so we can't worry about the next car yet. He actually holds his ground and gets that position back, so we go to the inside of the last 2 corners, down the inside, and we get the move done finally there. There's no coming back from that. And look on the screen, there are some spots of rain now, so that could shift the momentum of the race.
10 minutes left of this rain, then we think it's going to dry up.
It's not going to rain for long, so I think it will probably rain for long enough to warrant intermediate tyres, but it might only be for a few laps. So that could get interesting as we overtake Louis Delatraz once again. A lot cleaner that time. Next up is George Russell. But overtaking is going to get very, very difficult, so we need to make as many moves as soon as possible. We make a really aggressive move there on George Russell. It doesn't quite work, so we go for another one into the final corner and we make sure it works that time. We use all the road, squeeze him out and get that move done. And we've also got the fastest lap at this point as well. But eventually it's time to come in for intermediate tyres. And DRS is now disabled, but anyway. So yeah, we've timed that perfectly. So let's get the intermediate tyres on.
Go, go, go. You'll be racing on the exit. Go, go
As
now.
we get held up massively there. So cheers for that. And we have been jumped. Is that Günther again? It says BWT on the back. The name hasn't appeared yet. I could look in the... Yeah, it is Günther. I just looked in the top left. I forgot you could do that. Anyway. So, yeah, we've been jumped by Günther in the pits, thanks to getting held up, so cheers for that. But anyway, we get on the way once again, and we've got Jack Aitken all over us. He got a better run out of the pit lane of all things, but he can't make that move stick. Now we catch up to Günther once again. We're going to go down the inside into the first corner.
You're into P8. You've taken P8.
P6 now by the time we get out of pit lane. And the next car up ahead is Nicholas Latifi. I've not even seen him all race, and now we're right behind him. So we have made quite a nice gain with the undercut there, despite getting held up. Latifi may have been held up himself in pit lane, I'm not sure. But yeah, I was not expecting to be anywhere near Latifi at this point in the race. He was running near the front.
Okay, I think the track will be drying out quite soon. Mind you don't burn out your tyres.
And yeah.
Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound.
We go down the inside of Latifi into the final couple of corners, and we get that move done quite nicely there, and up into the top 5 positions. Next up is actually Arjun Maini, or Maini, but I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And by the time we come into the pits, we get a speeding, I was going to say a speeding fine, a speeding penalty, as the team backing up. That's nice to see. I'm a bit confused about that. What just happened?
Go, go, go.
I mean, I know Luca Giotto just made the stop, but, you know, I mean, surely they knew I was coming in. But anyway, we had to... we didn't even serve the penalty there, and that was just waiting. That didn't even count as serving the penalty. Ridiculous. Anyway, we move on. I'm trying to warm up the tyres. As you can see, the Formula 2 tyres, obviously no tyre blankets. So, yeah, they do need... they do need warming up like that. But anyway, we come around.
P10, you're in P10. Gap to car in front is 2.2 seconds.
And yeah, anything we gained with a well-timed pit stop onto the inters, we just lost, and then some with the penalty now. So we really have to push throughout the rest of the race as we go down the inside of Markelov for the 3rd time in this race, and we get that move done on Markelov. Next up is Jack Aitken.
Nice move, good job.
And we passed him a number of times as well, as we go down the inside of Jack Aitken, run very wide there, and probably made a bit of contact, but we get that move done. So now we catch up to Maximilian Günther, and we've already passed him 3 times in this race, and this will be the 4th
We
time.
started to catch the car in front, but we need to look after the tyres. We won't be making another pit stop.
Down the inside, and we get that move done. Actually, maybe that was the 3rd time. I've got no idea at this point. And oh no, this is Luca Giotto, my teammate, and he was running 2nd in this race, and he is now out with a mechanical failure. That is such a shame for Giotto. He has been lacking points all season, and yeah, really not helping the constructors fight too much. He was finally having a really solid race.
Green flag, green flag.
Yeah.
We're racing again.
He gets a mechanical failure. That's such a shame. But anyway, we can't worry about them too much. We've got our own race to go on with. We're taking a really wide line, trying to get a run on Latifi, and what was that? That was Adrian Foy. Oh my goodness, Adrian Foyko. And
We're increasing our gap on the car behind by around a second a lap. Virtual safety car, virtual safety car. Reduce speed immediately and keep a positive delta.
alright, that was Foyko out of the race. Another mechanical failure on the same lap as Giotto's. But anyway, that was close. That could have been the end of the race if we ran into the back of him. But we managed to avoid him, and we should be able to continue on. But yeah, that is a shame for Foyko. He was running quite well in this race as well, up in P4 I believe, or actually might have even been up in P3, I'm not sure.
Lucas dropped out of the race. Virtual safety car is ending. Maintain your pace until the green flag. VSC ending. Wait for green.
Yeah, actually, correct that. He was actually in a podium position for Foyko, so a real disappointment for him. But anyway, as we are talking about that, we make a move to the inside of Latifi into the final few
Be
corners,
careful with the front wing. You've taken some minor damage.
and we get more front wing damage for our troubles there. He didn't leave space, we didn't really get far enough alongside,
Yellow flag.
and there are yellow
Be
flags out
aware, there's an incident in the next part of the track. No overtaking through the yellow flags.
for Foyko off the road back there, but we overtake anyway. That doesn't seem to be an issue. But anyway, don't worry about that.
That was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up.
And the damage is obviously not too severe because we just set the fastest lap of the race, and we are catching up to Arjun Maini with
We're in P4. The gap to the car behind is 2.9 seconds. The distance to the leader is 22.1 seconds. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. Just 3 laps to go now. 3 laps.
yes, with 3 laps to go, as I was about to say before you cut me off there, Jeff. But we went for a move around the outside, and we just couldn't get around the outside of Maini, whatever your name is. And yeah, we just couldn't get that move done. So now we're going to try it and get a run at him through to the last sector. We've made moves here before, so we might be able to do it, but we just don't get the run. We've got a bit of downforce lacking with the damage, and we can't get the run there like we otherwise would if we go to the outside. But he almost squeezed me off the road there, and I backed out of that, unlike what I did with Aitken. I didn't want to take a risk at this point. We've come from last almost onto the podium, so I just wasn't taking any risks anymore. So as we go onto the pit straight, we're
catching
lacking.
the car ahead, but be aware that these tyres need to last till the end of the race.
That was a spin.
This is your final lap of the race.
And that may have cost us the chance of winning this race. We've caught up to Maney again as we start the final lap, but we get a bad exit out of the first corner, and that could affect our run into turn 3. We won't be able to make a move into that corner. We actually had quite a bit of closing speed there, but I couldn't really go for it with the damaged front wing. If we can get a good exit out of turn 3, we might be able to have a run into turn 4. We get the DRS open, and we might just get close enough. We'll have to see and just wait and wait. He defends, we go to the outside, but I got on brakes early, try to get a switch back. We were never going to hold around the outside with the damage, and the switch back does not work at all. There was no extra speed in our favour. He did a nice job on the apex to keep the speed up, and I completely missed the next corner, and that is pretty much all he needs to hold on to the position in this race. But yeah, that's annoying. So now we're coming towards the final 2 corners of the race, throwing everything at us to see if we can do anything to try to pass Maney, but there was nothing we could do. Went off track there a bit, but anyway, we crossed the line for P4 in this race.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Oh, damn it. I forgot we had the penalty. P9.
So another fantastic victory for Dams today. And I have to wonder, Davide Valsecchi, just what set them apart from the competition here.
I think this race was won thanks to the tire management. You have to remember, it's not just about going as fast as you can. It's about consistency. It's about maintaining your speed over an entire race distance. So being able to keep the lap time competitive while still respecting the tires, that's where they won today.
And I can see our drivers making their way out now. It's been a sublime team performance, and it's the culmination of a lot of hard work. Dams are your winners today.
Alright, so that is the end of that one. Albon gets the win, Sede Camera second, and Arjun Maney gets on the podium. Nice race by him. And even if I passed him with the penalty, he would have been up on the podium anyway. So nice job, I guess.
After this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the Drivers' Table. Alexander Albon takes the lead of the Drivers' Championship. Now then, Davide Valsecchi, who would you say was your driver of the day?
Probably Jade Aitken. You know, strong pace, good work with the strategy, just a very complete driver thing.
And here's how things are shaping up in the Teams Championship. Dams move to the top of the table. After all this drama, you'd be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you then. Take care.
So yeah, that was a bit of a disappointing one in the end. Obviously a great comeback to come through the field up to 4th, and then obviously the penalty bringing us all the way down to 9th, just outside of the reverse grid region. So that's really disappointing. But oh well, we'll just try and fight back tomorrow, and obviously the pace was really, really good in this race, so we'll fight back tomorrow and try to get a win. We'll have Albon starting right in front of us. He's the new championship leader, so let's go for a win tomorrow.
What Welcome back for the final event of the weekend, the sprint race. Here, the top 8 from yesterday's feature race are reversed to make up the grid below us. And in just a few minutes, those drivers will be hurtling down into turn 1. Alongside me today, I'm delighted to welcome back to the commentary box the 2012 GP2 champion, Davide Valsecchi. There looks to be a challenging race ahead of the drivers today, Davide. With that in mind, what are you looking out for today?
Well, Alex, I want to see how the drivers at the back of the grid are going to roll up. They'll need to make an impact in the early stages, and they are probably hoping for a bit of luck at the start. We may see some bold maneuvers out there today.
Okay, the run into turn 1 isn't too long, so the pack will be bunched up. Take care.
We will take care, Jeff. As you can see, it is raining now, so and it is raining quite heavily. So this will be a very interesting start and a very interesting race throughout the entire thing, hopefully. It is going to be raining for the entire race, as you can see. A little bit of dry at the end, but I'm not even sure if that is even in the scale of the race. The race might end before it gets to that dry period that the weather forecast is showing. So anyway, we go now to 5 red lights, and away we go for a soggy sprint race here in Austria. And I'm not really worried about getting a good start. I'm worried about getting a clean one. And look at the spray. You can't see a thing. It took me a very long time to get that sentence out, but yeah, there's no visibility at all. And we managed to somehow survive the first corner, still in P9, and I don't even know what's going on at this point. We're off the road on the outside, but hopefully we can get back on safely. We do, and we managed to actually gain a position up into P8 ahead of Albon, but that was not even an intention of overtaking. I was just trying to avoid an incident as we now go down the inside of Sergio Sede Camera. Once again, just trying to avoid an incident rather than actually trying to overtake. We were very late on the brakes compared to Sede Camera, and we managed to get the move done. But once again, I wasn't even trying. Next up is Maney, who we make another dive down the inside and get that move done.
You made it look easy.
Very aggressive there on Maney, but need I say, once again, that was no intention of even making a pass. They were just early on the brakes. So next up is Nicholas Latifi. So let's see if we can catch him. And as we move on, we are very close to Latifi. Can we go for a move down the inside? He defends, so we go to the outside, and we can hopefully get this done a little bit off circuit there. And we lose the rear end. We're in the grass, and Latifi gets the power down and maintains the position for now. So we go for a move into the right-hander at turn 3, and we push him very wide. We're very deep and narrow into that corner, but we get the move done on Latifi up into P5 now, and the next car up ahead is Maximilian Günther. So let's see if we can pass him as we get the fastest lap of the race.
We're increasing our gap on the car behind by around a second a lap.
So we move on now, we get another fastest lap.
Fastest lap for the race.
And we move on once again. We've finally caught up to Maximilian Günther, but you can see the spray is basically opaque at this point in a train of cars. And we make a move on Günther, if I could even see him, and we get that done. Next up is Jack Aitken. Günther's actually coming back at us here on the right hand side. He got a better exit, and he is ahead, but we go for a move into the right hander once again, our favourite overtaking spot, running a very deep there, and we get the move done. We didn't really leave him any place to go, and we got that done.
You're increasing the gap to the car behind by a few seconds per lap. Keep this up.
And we start to find our pace once again as Sean Galale retires from this race with a mechanical failure, and he will not make it to the end of this one.
The heavy rain is passing. We're seeing light rain about 2 minutes away.
So light rain is coming soon, so hopefully that means there's a chance of dry up, or at least the visibility could improve somewhat. there will be no pit stops, obviously, if the rain doesn't dry up. So that's how that's going to work. But we still haven't caught up to Jack Aitken. We may have hit a wall of how fast we are in the spray, but we go down the inside, we just send it into turn 3, and we should just about get that done. We've given ourselves a very tight line on the exit, but we get it done nonetheless, ahead of Jack Aitken now, and actually up onto the podium now. Next up is Artem Markelov, and that's actually the end of the race.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
That was a very short and sudden end to the race, but yeah, nothing else happened.
Victory for ART then, after a quality performance. And Davide Valsecchi, give me your thoughts. How did they accomplish this result?
What can I say? In conditions like this, it's an incredible difficult drive, but they pulled off something truly special today. They had the grip when they needed it. Every time they were able to find just the right line, and they had the confidence to put those things together and just push and push. That's what earned them this victory today.
ART, the French team who have been racing since the 90s in various forms of motorsport, are once again back on the winner's podium today after a brilliant display of driving skill.
So George Russell is your race winner, Artem Markelov P2, and myself, or Roberto Merri rather, in P3.
So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. Roberto Merri takes over the lead of the Drivers' Championship after that excellent result. And so, driver of the day then, Davide Valsecchi, who do you think you'd go for?
It's got to be Roberto Merri. He really deserved this result today. It was a fantastic drive.
On to the teams then. There was also a strong showing from the Russian time team today as they make their way up the standings. It was great having you with us for this weekend. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We'll see you when Formula 2 returns.
Alright, so not a lot to talk about after that. That was a very short race, not a lot to say. Let's just move on to the Formula 1 Austrian Grand Prix.
Good afternoon and welcome to Spielberg, and to a circuit that in one form or another has held every Austrian Grand Prix in the championship, except the very first back in 1964. It was at this race that John Watson lost a bet and his beard when he took Team Penske's only F1 victory in 1976. If anything, the stakes are even higher today, with 25 points available for victory and a crucial advantage in the championship fight. It's a short lap here in Spielberg with just 10 corners, 7 rights and 3 lefts, making up the total distance of 2.6 miles. And expect to see a lot of cars running wide today, especially through the last corner, as the wet conditions make the cars skittish through the downhill sections. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Sebastian Vettel will start on pole. Fantastic qualifying from the multiple world champion. And Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, the scientist, Charles Leclerc and Verstappen, Gasly, Hülkenberg, Perez and George Russell, Ricciardo, Norris, Lucas Faber and Raikkonen, Magnussen, Kubica, Alexander Albon and Daniel Kvyat. Butler and Antonio Giovinazzi starts from the back of the grid, and with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
Alright, we will try to keep the momentum going after the last race. Looking at the strategy, there is just inters to inters, so nothing silly to do there. The other option is 3 sets of inters, no option for that, that's a lot slower, so let's just get into it.
Keep an eye on the lights. The start sequence will begin as soon as the grid is formed. Be ready with the clutch.
Alright, thanks Jeff. Let's now go for 3, 4, 5 red lights. It's actually 10. And away we go for the Austrian Grand Prix, and it's a good start by Valtteri Bottas, and he's going to take the fight to Vettel into the first corner as Leclerc goes around our outside, and Vettel holds on, and so do we hold on to our fourth position. But Bottas is looking racy behind Vettel. He's going to try to make a move to the inside of turn 4 as Leclerc has lost a bunch of time on the exit of turn 1, and Bottas goes to the outside of turn 3, around the outside of Vettel, and he may actually take the lead there. He does. Vettel back to P2 off the start of this race, and look at the spray. That's why I didn't show my onboard. You wouldn't have seen a thing, and yeah, there is no way we can even be aggressive in these conditions.
Alright, let's focus now for the rest of the race.
Yeah. I thought for a moment that we might be able to try to overtake Hamilton as he was getting held up behind the battle between Bottas and Vettel, but I literally could not see a thing in these conditions. So yeah, that is yeah, there is no chance we could take an advantage there. But we've held on to our starting position ahead of Leclerc, and that's really all we could ask for. We probably qualified higher than we should have in this car. We can keep up with the Red Bulls, but I'm not sure we'll be able to beat the Ferraris and Mercedes in this. They're in a league of their own. But the Red Bulls are within reach, so we're going to try to beat them in this race, as Leclerc goes for a move down the inside of us, but on this occasion we managed to hold it around the outside and maintain the position for now. But I'm not sure if we'll be so lucky in the future. Obviously the Ferraris are a very, very fast car, as Hamilton and Vettel are battling away in front of us, and Hamilton actually gets through. So it's now a Mercedes 1-2, Valtteri Bottas way out in front at this point. Vettel down to P3, followed by myself and then Charles Leclerc. So we move on now, and Charles Leclerc is having another run at us up towards turn 3, and he might actually get it done here. He's a long way up the inside. We're going to try and hold around the outside, but he's just going to get through there. But he actually has a really, really bad exit, and we're right on his rear bumper. Look, gearbox. And look how close we are there, as I was looking to see if there was damage there on the front wing, on the flashback, but there was nothing. So we go to the outside, try to hold around the outside of Leclerc, and try to take the racing line on the exit, but we run a little bit too wide, and just onto the grass. And Verstappen's there as well, as we go down the inside of Verstappen to try and maintain our position, and we do that on Verstappen, but Leclerc is through up into P4 for him. But we maintain P5 ahead of our rival Verstappen, and we get that done. So we move on, and we've actually caught up to Leclerc once again. We're going to try to make a move to the outside of turn 4, but he defends, and he actually has a bit of a lock up there. He almost went straight ahead, but he did get it turned in the end, and thankfully we didn't make contact, but that was potentially very, very close to a bad accident there. If it was in the dry and he locked up there, I would have gone for it, but in the wet conditions I didn't want to take any risks. You can never be quite sure what these AI drivers are going to do, and lucky I didn't go for it, because he did turn back to the right very, very quickly there. But we're actually keeping up with Charles Leclerc okay. Verstappen is putting a lot of pressure on me, and that is becoming a bit of a distraction, but we are keeping up with Leclerc not too badly on the whole. So,
Back by about 3/10 a lap.
So the pace in this race is really, really strong. So who knows, maybe with a bit of luck we could maintain this P5.
Bottas is out in front.
Oh no, not this again.
Bottas is out in front. 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 Bottas is out in front.
So we move on now to the end of lap 23 of 71, and Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton are in the pits. So they are on the 2-stop. There is no way they can get to the end from here. So they may have just gifted me a podium. We'll see how things play out, but that could be huge. So we move on once again, and Verstappen is having a run at me towards turn 1. You can see we're defending, pushing him all the way to the inside wall, back to the racing line, and we're going to sweep around the outside and hold on to the position. But he's coming back at me. He dropped back for a while, but now he's coming back into it, and we're having to try to defend. at every opportunity, Verstappen is trying to make moves, and we are doing our very best to hold on, because if he overtakes us, there is no chance of a podium. But at this point, I'm just starting to get the feeling that it could be possible. But what might make it more difficult is looking at top left. Lewis Hamilton has already overtaken Verstappen, so our little battle there might have cost him some time.
This light rain is going to be with us for a while now.
And Hamilton has overtaken him, and now he's down my inside. I'm going to try and hold on round the outside of turn 1, and we actually do that, and we managed to hold the position just for a little bit there. But unfortunately on the way into turn 3, he's just going to fly straight past. We're going to try and hold it round the outside once again, but it's not really going to work. We get a decent exit, but that Mercedes is a very quick car in a straight line, and compared to our racing point car, they've done some engine upgrades to that, I believe. So we've got no way of holding on.
Let's use some of this energy. Increase the ERS deployment.
On the straights. So we move on, and we're starting to catch some back markers here. Daniel Ricciardo gets out the way. That Renault is having a dreadful race so far. Robert Kubica is the next car up the road. Let's see if he can let us past. Hopefully pretty easily. He sticks to the racing line and pulls off to the right to let us past. Not too difficult there, but we did have to take the wide line through that corner. Cost us a little bit of time.
In this lap.
Alright, so into the pits we come to switch to a new set of intermediate tyres. I did briefly think about trying to get to the end on one set, but with the wets you can get away with it. The inters, not so much. So let's stop, not get a penalty thankfully, and hope for a good stop to see if we can perhaps gain some time on Charles Leclerc. We may have actually hurt him up a little bit there. So let's see what the team can do.
Complete, go now.
2.099, so it's a very good stop, and I think we have gained some time on Leclerc.
That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops.
I don't know, that it's hard to tell visually, but I do think we look closer than when we came in, and if we did hold him up, that obviously would have cost him some time, but it'll be a big task to try and catch and overtake him by the end of the race, but it's the only way we'll get a podium in this race. So let's see what we can do. Well, we've got a caution up ahead now, and I'm not sure what that's for.
Caution, caution.
That is Daniel Ricciardo out of the race. That is a blown engine in that
Some
Renault.
information on Ricciardo. They are out of the race.
And hopefully he'll be able to pull the car off in a safe place and not cause a safety car.
The gap behind us is 4.5 seconds.
Which he manages to do. But anyway,
Sergio is in the pits.
Sergio makes his stop as we are already well clear. And importantly, we do get out of the pits just about ahead of Max Verstappen. He must have had a flying in lap. And we actually bang wheels there and go for a bit of a slide. But we just hold on ahead of Verstappen through there. But that was a scary moment. But otherwise, in this race, throughout the entire race, I actually felt very, very confident in the car. And this is probably one of my cleanest laps, I'll say. But yeah, this is, I don't know what it is about this track, but just going around I just felt a lot of confidence in the car, and I felt like I could really
Battery
push.
charge is high. Let's increase ERS deployment to up the pace.
And I knew exactly what the car was going to do. I knew it wasn't going to understeer or oversteer, or, you know, I knew where it was going to land when I turned into a corner. That was a bit of a missed apex there, but yeah, I don't know, I just felt very confident in this car, and I think that is why I was so much faster compared to the AI around this track in particular. But yeah, I don't know what it is about this track. It must just be the style of corners or something. I'm not sure, but yeah, maybe it's just because there's less corners to master. I don't know, but yeah, something about this track it really clicked. And yeah, I felt like I could really push without risking too much, which was a nice change. It could also be the intermediate conditions as well, slowing down the apex speeds. But as I say all that, we do get the fastest lap of the race, so that is a real indication of some car speed there,
Hamilton's in first place.
as I think that's Giovinazzi gets out the way there. And then next up we have Danny Kvyat, Albon getting out the way there as well, and he does that well enough.
15-minute spout of light rain, which will then move into heavy rain conditions.
Heavy rain in 15 minutes. We're only on lap 45, so that'll come in by the end of the race, if that happens at all. So that could mix things up towards the end of the race as well. So that's, I don't know, maybe we'll need the blue wall tyres by the end of the race, we'll see. But for now we'll just keep on pushing and see what we can make of this race from where we are. We're currently in P5 and throwing everything at it.
The car in front, but we need to look after the tyres. We won't be making another pit stop.
Because I know Vettel and Hamilton still have another stop to make, and Leclerc is not too far up the road, so we still could potentially pass him. Meanwhile, Bottas is way out in front, and he's done his last stop, and he's basically got this race won at this point. But yeah, I still feel like we have a strong chance of a podium in this race. So as we lap more back markers. So we move on now to the main straight, and Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton are in for their stops. And you can see in the top left we are up to P4. We have overtaken Sebastian Vettel, and if we can pass Leclerc, who we have been catching, you can see is very close in front of us now, we will have a good chance of getting a podium on this in this race. But unfortunately Hamilton is ahead of both of us. We have no chance of catching him. But yeah, we have a good chance of a podium if we can overtake Leclerc and stay ahead of him. So we're going to have to try to take advantage of traffic, use the slipstream, use the engine modes, everything we've got to try to overtake him. You can see how close we are here to Leclerc through that corner, and as I think that's Raikkonen gets out the way, we had a bit of a lose there, and might have given him a bit of a bump on the way through. Here's the onboard, and it was very close. He left a lot of space, and it was going quite slowly. But yeah, I had a bit of a lose, ran a bit wide of the inside of that corner. But anyway, doesn't matter, there's no damage. But then out of the clear blue, we get this on the radio.
Okay, some information on Bottas. It looks like the problem is terminal. They're retiring the car.
And that is the end of the day for Valtteri Bottas. He was dominating this race. He was set to win, and he has been taken out by a mechanical failure. That is not a happy sounding Mercedes engine. Smoke pouring out of it, and he will end this race with a DNF. So yeah, that is very, very unfortunate for Bottas. So and that is a race win effectively handed to Lewis Hamilton. But fortunately though, it's not all bad news, because we have been gifted a podium by that. Not the way I want to get the podium, but I'll take it any way it comes. And I'm still going to try to chase down Charles Leclerc for the rest of this race. We still have a chance of going even better. We still have a chance of P2 in this race if we can overtake Charles Leclerc. So I'm going to be throwing everything at it now to try to take P2. Verstappen is still hanging around. He's not far behind, so I can't really back off anyway. So yeah, we just need to keep pushing, and who knows, maybe we could get P2 in this race if we can overtake Charles Leclerc. So we move on now to lap 55, and we are right behind Charles Leclerc coming out of turn 3, and we may have a run into turn 4. Let's see what we can do. Trying to look left and right. We're going to go down the inside into turn 4, and we have overtaken him down the inside, and we are up into P4, but only briefly. He comes back at us, gets a switch back, and he retains the P2 in this race. But the fight is not over yet, because now on lap 58 we're going to try to come back at him once again. If we can get a good run through the first corner, we've saved up a bit of battery, and we're going to just try to get the run up towards turn 3. This is probably our best overtaking opportunity. If not, it'll be turn 4, but we'll have to see how it goes. We can't get close enough for turn 3, so we try to carry the speed and get a better exit than Leclerc does, and we do that, we're going to just try to sit in the slipstream now, see what we can do into turn 4. We've got a really nice run in the slipstream. We defend, so we go to the outside this time, down the outside, and we try to get the switchback this time. It worked for him before, and it works for us now. We get the switchback and get through up into P2 in this race, and Leclerc comes back at us down the inside through the next corner, and he actually gets a position back once again. So it seems whatever I throw at Leclerc, he seems to be able to switch it back and get back through. So I'm going to maybe need to think of something outside the box if I want to get past. But like I said before, the fight's not over until the end of the race. So we move on to lap 59, and we're going to go again right behind him through turn 3, and we'll try to get a good exit. Once again we do that, probably the best exit we've ever gotten out of that corner relative to Leclerc. In these recent battles we get a really nice run towards turn 4 down the inside, and we're going to force it this time down the inside, park the car right where he wants to be, and he is not able to get the switchback this time. We pull through and hold P2 in this race. We get a turn for the left-hander, and there is nothing Leclerc can do. We have got the position, and we have got P2 in this race. If he wants to pass us back, he has to do it the hard way. So we move on now to lap 60, and Leclerc is trying to pass us back round the outside into turn 3, but we hold the inside line. We move him all the way across to the left hand side, try to get him out on that exit curb, and we hold the position for now. And there's back markers getting in the way there. That might actually affect our run up into turn 3, and Leclerc goes down the inside. A big dive there from Leclerc, and we can't really do anything. We try to hold it around the outside, but he squeezes us all the way to the curb, and that affects our exit a little bit, but not too badly. We did take a fairly wide line, but we just don't have the same straight line speed as that Ferrari unless we're in the slipstream. But we dive back down the inside, and we actually retake that position from Charles Leclerc. But he is going to come back at us on the left hand side just about, but we should be maybe able to hold that on the outside, side by side, and Leclerc gets through once again on lap 61. So now we move on to lap 65. It's been a few laps. We've saved up some fuel and battery once again. We're going to go for a move once again, same place, heading towards turn 4. We've got another good run, and this time we're going to go to the inside, down the inside of Leclerc, and we get through up into P2 once again, and this time he does not get the switchback, so hopefully now we can hold on for the rest of the race. So we move on now to the final lap of the race, and we all we have to do now is get home. Leclerc's dropped off a little bit, so yeah, we just coast to the end pretty much, and just enjoy this last lap where we can come home with P2. So with that said, here is your race leading and about to be race winning Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton got gifted the lead when Bottas retired, and he's never looked back, and he crosses the line to win the Austrian Grand Prix. And yeah, that was made very easy for Lewis Hamilton in the end there. But meanwhile, here is me in my Racing Point, coming towards the finish line to finish P2 on pace, ahead of the Ferraris, ahead of the Red Bulls. And yeah, that is a really good race for me. Unfortunately I didn't record the podium, so you get this instead. I may or may not have spent way too long on paint actually making that little animation.
Hamilton, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Well, after a drive like that, it's got to be Devon Butler, hasn't it? Confident, aggressive. You could see how hungry he was for every position he took today.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
So yeah, that was a really strong race. The pace was really good throughout the whole thing, and really it was only getting better towards the end. Leclerc was pulling away in the first stint, but yeah, in the later stages we were a lot faster than he was, and in the last few laps we managed to pull away. And I'd say that was just down to getting used to the car, the circuit, etc., and just getting into the rhythm of the race. So yeah, that race was a lot of fun. Sergio Perez only ended up at P8. Lucas Weber continued his good run of form in B7. Sebastian Vettel actually dropped down behind Max Verstappen in the end. He could not re-overtake him after his second pit stop. And yeah, Nico Hulkenberg and Lando Norris actually in the points. Magnussen with a decent recovery up to 11th from his bad qualifying. Devon Butler, driver of the day, only got 12th. Not sure how that works, but anyway. My difficulty that I was running in this episode I think was 90. So next time we come to Austria, especially if it's dry, I'm going to be bumping that up a little bit. But yeah, for me that is a reasonably high difficulty for most tracks. So yeah, I'll keep a note of that, because realistically maybe a P2 should not have been possible given the race, but I'm not going to complain, I'll take it.
Amazing performance out there. I'm sure you're pretty happy with that. Lucas flew through the pack in that race. What's his secret?
Not really sure. I mean, he's a good driver, there's no doubting that. He's got a decent car, and if he starts back in the pack, there's no doubt he's going to move forward.
Did you feel comfortable in the wet weather today?
It was amazing. The car just had so much grip, and even when I was battling with the likes of the Ferraris and Red Bulls, the car just felt so good, and I felt like I could really push the limits. And yeah, the team did a really good job this weekend.
Great. Well, that's everything.
Thanks, Claire. So we have a whole bunch of resource points now, another 449. That gives us 1338 in total. That's just numbers. Reputation bars are all going up here in the right direction.
That's exactly the kind of result I'm looking for. Keep it up.
Cheers, Emma. Anyway, let's see what we can do in the way of upgrades for the weekend.
Looks like one of your rivals is also going to an upcoming historical event. If you choose to take him on, it might help get your name out there a bit.
Looks like Carl is happy with the weekend's performance, so that's good. But have a look at, we've got some emails regarding a certain Devon Butler. Your old opponent from F2 had a great race. What goes through your mind when you see them up on the podium? The thing come through a bit blurry on the recording. I'm nothing but happy for him getting on the podium, because it'll make me look better when I do it next time. That's what he was saying. Garbage bag. Anyway, looking at upgrades now. We've bounced out the aero side and we've boxed ourselves in on the chassis side. There's nothing else for us to do there until that major upgrade comes in at Silverstone. So for now, I'm just going to work on quality control and department efficiency. And here I'm also going to set my rival as a certain Devon garbage bag Butler, because well, you saw the interview. He will be the target to beat in the next few races, which I think we should be able to manage that pretty easily. Sergio Perez is going to an event in Italy, so let's go and give him a challenge.
Welcome to today's Invitational Event, where some of the world's finest drivers will be treating us to a special exhibition of some of the sport's most iconic cars.
That's right, no points on the line today, but we still want to win this challenge anyway. So let's get into it in this absolutely screaming V10, I believe. People are going to hate me if I get that wrong. And anyway, I've actually already driven this car around this circuit in a video that will probably be out later this week, hopefully. Depends if I'm a good YouTuber or not. But yeah, I'm not going to show this entire thing because it'll take too long. But yeah, I actually really enjoy these classic car challenges. All the classic cars, except for some of the really early ones, are quite nice to drive. Especially the 2009 Brawn and 2010 cars in particular are are really good to drive. So is this 2004 Ferrari, to be fair. Very, very quick in a straight line. A lot less downforce in the corners than the modern F1 cars, so that's a bit of a challenge. Obviously you can see it's got the treaded tyres, so that's a cool little throwback, I suppose, to different times in the sport. But as I'm saying all that, we've almost finished the first lap of this challenge, which is all I'm really going to show until we start running out of time. One of those checkpoint challenges, as I'm sure you've noticed, as you have to cross each checkpoint before the time runs out, and you get a bit of a bonus each time, a time bonus. And eventually I think each bonus is less and less until you eventually run out of time. You just have to keep going through as many gates as possible. So we move on now, and you can see I'm starting to run out of time at the top. So I think I'll make it to the next one or two, but it is, you can hear the beeping there, it is going to be tight even for this one actually, but we just make it through. So the next one might just be the last. We'll see if we can get a little bit of a mistake through the Lesmo there, first one. But the second one was fairly clean. This one, this gate coming up is going to be very, very close. Just made it. So we need a perfect run through Ascari. Can we do that? Not really. We absolutely destroy the third corner there, taking quite a shortcut. But I don't think it's going to matter. It's not really going to affect the overall result because we don't get anywhere near the next time gate. So we've passed, but did we beat Sergio Perez? Yes, we did.
Congratulations on your success in the Invitational Event. It might not help you in the championship standings, but it definitely helps to build your reputation.
So thank you everyone very much for watching to the end if you've made it this far into the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Engine off.
You're surpassing all expectations. Can anything or anyone stop you?